Three ranking police officers are out of a job because Johns Creek suspected them of a conspiracy to release publicly available information to 11 Alive. The massive investigation to find our anonymous source started after 11 Alive Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe filed a routine records request with Johns Creek 1 year ago. It's a story of sexual harassment, confidential payouts using taxpayer money, and a city that's still refusing to answer questions about any of it.
Did you have anything to do with this?
Absolutely not.
You either know for sure who did it, or you got a damn good feeling as to who did this.
So who was it?
We failed the polygraph.
You worried about your family?
You guys have put stuff in my head.
You're going to do what's right for you and your family, right? Because I don't think anybody else would. Pretty much everybody for themselves.
These men are not criminal suspects.
If this were a drug case, I would put you on the phone, I would wire you up, we'd make that call.
They're Johns Creek police officers.
Between you, the Forsyth County deputies, everybody keeps saying, you did it, you did it, you did it. And I'm like, I don't know how I did it.
A corporal, a sergeant, and a lieutenant interrogated by 3 different agencies for a total of more than 12 hours, including polygraph examinations by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Why?
We hear about an open records request that was received from 11 Alive News.
You haven't talked to 11 Alive? Have you?
I have not talked to 11 Alive.
Who's your contact with 11 Alive?
Who's my contact? I don't have a contact with 11 Alive.
You and Free are looking at this on the same date and time, pretty much minutes apart. And then boom, this happens, maybe not even 24 hours later.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that look?
Well, I've said it looks bad.
You know, of course it does. Of course it does.
Stop your car right now.
Our open records request was for this 2017 pursuit. That officer is now the commander of Johns Creek Internal Affairs. He was cleared of any wrongdoing. An anonymous source gave us the public case number, which we also found online, available to anyone.
They got it. I mean, they got the video. Somebody gave it to them.
But we didn't get the video from any of these officers because police records gave us the video at Johns Creek City Hall.
No videotaping.
Even though we didn't air the pursuit video before now, Johns Creek launched a massive multi-agency investigation to find out who gave us a publicly available case number so we could ask for open records in a closed case. 20 witnesses were interviewed by Johns Creek, the GBI, and Internal Affairs for the sheriff in the next county. The 3 officers were paid more than $65,000 while on leave during the investigation into our source. We don't know if any of them was involved, but we do know that none of these 3 men gave us the information directly because the anonymous source never gave us her name. Johns Creek Police zeroed in on their own executive assistant, which we know because we were able to see behind the city's redactions in their internal report.
Who was Paulette?
Paulette Thompson was twice named Employee of the Year by Johns Creek Police as the secretary in the Criminal Investigation Division.
I don't know how she would have got the information. I know she's suing the agency right now for sexual harassment.
Really?
Because she's the reason the old police chief got ran off.
I, Christopher Hamilton Byers.
Chris Byers was named police chief in March of 2020. But he wouldn't last even 5 months. The city would end up paying Chief Byers $325,000 to resign in a confidential settlement after a controversial Facebook post about Black Lives Matter and an investigation concluding he sexually harassed Secretary Paulette Thompson. The city's sexual harassment investigation of its own police chief was only 6 pages, with 0 recorded interviews. The investigation focused on the chief's accuser as our possible source for an open records request was hundreds of pages, with more than 17 hours of video interrogations. Thompson told investigators she was not our source. She resigned before the investigation was over as part of a settlement of her sexual harassment suit against the city and Chief Byers. Corporal Faree was terminated,
GBI tip line,
in part for calling the GBI during the investigation.
They're now on a witch hunt to try to figure out who leaked information to the media.
Lieutenant Russo was also terminated. Sergeant Corey resigned. But in the end, all 3 officers admitted only to researching pursuits they believed were questionable right before we filed our records request.
I mean, that place is out of control. I mean, we've got people in positions of power that don't care about us. Clearly.
That was Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe reporting. For full disclosure, he and his family live in Johns Creek. We have more on this story for you on 11alive.com.